How are you?
Thor, what's going on, man?
A little
I
close.
am
So let
good.
me
I am good.
back up. All right.
Oh, you're good. I didn't get Lisa's personal account or
She is,
anything. Is
yeah.
she
It's,
going to be
it's
joining us?
Cigar Press Lisa, I believe. She should be on there.
Let's check it out. Here we go. Sent her an invite. Eric Klein, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Love love the stuff you do, man. If you need some cigars, let me know. Well, Thor, man, it's good to put a face to
Yeah,
the voice
no,
and
it's
all
good
that
to be
sort of
on. We
stuff.
haven't done a video or anything really in a long time.
Really? Yeah, you guys have been kind of on a
Yeah,
social
we're getting
media
ready
hiatus a little
to
bit.
kick things back up again. You know, we just added ratings to the magazine for the first time. So, yeah, we're going to promote that and get
Nice.
things going for our website. So looking forward to it.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. We'll see if we can send Lisa an invite. See if we can get her.
She just texted me, so
Um,
she should be on the phone.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it said she's on here. What are you smoking today?
Oh, it's a Black Diamond from J.C. Newman.
Oh shit! Look at
Hey,
that.
right?
What are the odds of
Nice.
that?
Those are
I'm
great.
smoking a
I love
Julius
that
Caesar.
cigar.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of their new
Yes,
Black Diamond though.
so am I.
Big fan. I think I only have like two left out of in my
No,
humidor out of the
I've
box that
just
I
started
got.
smoking these.
So
We're putting it in the next issue, volume 15, issue 2. So, yeah.
really, yeah, they're fantastic. I'm a huge fan of those. Let's see, Lisa texts you if she's struggling to get on. It says she's unable to join.
Well,
She can't get on. We can do an interview with you, and we can have her on another time. That's not a problem with me. But let's see. I'm just waiting for your prize. See, so I go live on YouTube and TikTok right before this for 30 minutes. And
oh, no.
ask people to hop over here, and people are excited about giving away a free year subscription.
Good.
So.
Yeah, it's a good time to join now
Yeah.
that we're switching it up. We're also starting to put some people on the cover. We never really did that before. We always featured art. We did Unusual Suspects. You know, that
Right.
was
Yeah.
something that we had everybody on. And then we did the Five Faces and the 99%, and that was another guy that was on there, Arthur. But other than that, we've never had people on the cover. So the newest issue, we got Michael Herklotz, and then we're going to see who we can get featured on there next.
Heck yeah, that's
Let me
awesome.
see here. My mom keeps texting me. I'll tell her to quit bothering me.
You're good. You're good. Let's see. Well, let me know what you want to do with Lisa. I've sent her invites a couple times, but we'll wait for it. We'll see.
I told her to go to the video. I don't know if that'll help. But.
Should be getting the invites, but yeah. We'll see. Everybody watching, I appreciate you guys patiently waiting. If you guys do have any questions while we're sitting here, go ahead and toss some questions in. We can do that, but we'll wait for Lisa here for a second. Can you let your friend explain the price? Sure. Well, you want to go ahead and explain what we're giving away this?
We're going to do a year subscription to Cigar Press. So that's 4 issues, and then we do a special edition issue too. So it's 5 total issues.
5 total issues. and it's a great time to do it because there's new twists to the whole
Yep.
thing. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got to make some more swag, and we got to make some more
We are
hats and
both.
shirts and things like that. We have some new ideas, so we'll get that clicking and have some stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stuff in the works. 2023 is going to be a big year. That's good. Will you guys be at TPE or
we're gonna
PCA
go to,
or anything like that?
TPE in a couple weeks for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll be there as well.
Yeah,
so
no, we haven't actually
get
gone
to
to
meet
a
in
show,
person.
or we haven't done any traveling much lately. You know, I have 3 young kids too, so that kind of keeps me down. So it's important that I'm here for them. But now, yeah, we're gonna start making it out again.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, this time of
Nice.
year up in Michigan, it's nice to get out to Vegas to warm up a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. Atlanta, I think we are past the cold. We have one day, I think, next week that's supposed to get into like the 30s. But
Oh, yeah.
That's about it right now. We're looking.
Yeah,
I think
30s,
we're
I don't
past the
mind.
hump. So.
That's all right. Even the 20s. That's when I let my chickens out. If it's in the 20s. Otherwise, I keep them in. Oh, also, my mom said to try to resend the link. She added her phone number. That was probably the issue.
Okay, let's see. Send it on. There we go. All right, I just sent her another link, so hopefully that'll come through. It'll come through on her Instagram. Good cigar options for any beginner. What do you recommend when you meet a beginner for cigars? What's a go-to cigar?
I always try to get something that has a lot of flavor. You know, obviously you don't want. It depends on if they smoke to begin with, like cigarettes, or if they're used to tobacco. You know, things like that. Otherwise,
right,
mild or
mild,
medium, and straight.
Right. Yeah, I usually like the Perdomo champagne. I feel like is always a good. It's got some good. You're gonna have a reliable cigar with Perdomo, right? But it's got a little complexity to it, but it's definitely on the lighter end, to where it's not gonna kill anybody. But you're right. I mean, if they have smoked other things before, that kind of changes.
It's nice nowadays too. It seems like cigars are getting, they're gearing them more towards full flavor as opposed to that full strength of that nicotine, that kick, which is good because I don't like cigars that are excessively strong. I like to enjoy it, so you need that balance. So now you get a lot of flavor, more medium body, medium to full. So it's easier to approach, than a lot of cigars, that are just full on strength, which was a trend I feel like for so many years.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think from 2015 to 2019, right before the pandemic, I feel like that was a big, heavy cigar kick phase. I think LFD really benefited from that because a lot of theirs are a lot heavier. But yeah, no, I agree. I always tell people, people will be like, "What's your favorite cigar?" What's oh, what's your top 10 or this or that? And I always, for one, I'm always like, well, my palate's different than yours. But what I look for in a cigar is always complexity. Like, I like when I smoke something, I can tell that I've never smoked anything like it before. That's when I'll give it a great rating in my mind, right? Is something that's just so different. I don't feel like I've, had the palate kind of twist before.
Yeah, definitely something rich that keeps your interest, like keeps having you go back to it. You could always tell if I like a cigar, I'm always waving it in front of my face, getting like the aroma and the smoke of it. Yeah, and I never noticed.
Get that aroma?
I never noticed that. My mom actually pointed it out. She'd always see me going like this with cigars. She's like, "Oh, you must really like that cigar." So I'm like, I didn't even know I was doing that, but
That's funny. I wonder what mine. I think mine. I retrohale way more often if I have a good flavored cigar. Like if I don't, have a good flavored cigar, I'll probably retrohale maybe once or twice. But if I have a really good one, I mean, it's pretty much every single time.
Nose,
Just have
It's good to find
yeah,
a cigar that
every
you can
single
actually do
time.
that to. Some cigars, it's
Just
like, so, you know, I mean, it's good if you want like a real spicy kick, because a lot of times you get that white pepper and that burn. But sometimes you retrohale
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like real
yeah, yeah,
smooth. It's like, whoa, that's really different. So, you know, when you find that, I'll do that a ton too. But most of the time, they're really spicy.
yeah, yeah. That spicy will kill you. When we used to do this, not live, and I had a co-host and everything on the podcast, it was much different because we had he was kind of the representation of a beginner cigar smoker, right? Because that's kind of, that's who we focus on. So it was good to have kind of that presence live every time. And his first retro hill,
Really, yeah.
he was crying. He was crying
It's
for
like
sure.
wasabi, you know, it'll just go right to
Did
your sinuses.
yeah? Did
She did.
she get
I'm
the
asking if she's watching the
invite?
video, and she said it's not coming up. So I don't know what she's doing.
Did she
Yeah, yeah,
re-downloaded Instagram, right?
yeah. Yeah, she's on her phone. That's all right.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it says she's watching. But like I said, yeah. I mean, we can do two separate ones. It's up to you if you want to wait. We can wait.
No, we can.
Or
Yeah,
we
we
can
could
just
go
go
ahead.
ahead and
You know,
get
if she's able
started.
to come in, then that's fine too.
Okay, perfect. Not a problem. I'm gonna ash before I sit here and ash on myself. Come an ashhole, But yeah, so one of the first questions I always ask, because a lot of our audience is beginner cigar smokers. They're learning. They're having their own beginning journey. How did you first get into cigars?
You know, I think I just always saw people smoking it, or I'm not really sure how it really first came about. I know I had a buddy whose dad smoked cigars, and I always liked the smell of them, and so
Yeah,
they were pretty
yeah,
expensive at the time for us anyway. So we would just take them and steal them out of the ashtray, and he got sick of it.
yeah,
He's like, all right, you guys aren't going to experience a cigar taking these nasty cigar butts. So he gave us some real cigars, which I think at the time it was a Bauza, which was made by Fuente. And so we smoked that, and I was like, okay. And so that
yeah,
really kind of attracted me to it. And that was in the 90s too, like right in the boom. So, there were just all kinds of cigars that were getting pumped out. And so finding some good stuff at that
yeah.
time was kind of difficult, but, it kept me going. I liked it for whatever reason.
It
Yeah,
just kind of
I like going
caught
into
it.
the
Do you
humidor.
think it was the flavor, the
I never really got a
buzz? Do you
buzz
think
or
it was
anything like
the
that. If I smoke too heavy a cigar too early in the morning, I'll get sick, or get nauseous probably. But I just like going into the
right? Yeah,
humidor, just seeing all these different boxes open and that warmth, that humidity, and the smells. It was just really
yeah,
intriguing, So I'll just find any book that I could find
yeah.
at the time. I mean, there's no like internet, which is crazy to say, but and I would just try to learn as much as I could.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. So when you started smoking cigars in the 90s, when did cigar press come about, and why? What was kind of the reason that you just felt compelled to do
Well, I
that?
started Cigar Press back in 2007. And at the time, I was also working for Tatuaje, and I was doing some freelance writing work for different catalogs and companies like that.
Okay.
And I lost all that freelance work. And, he suggested that I start a publication, because I was doing websites and interviewing and doing articles and reviews. And so I'm like, yeah, at the
Gotcha.
time, there's
Yeah.
only like
Okay.
Cigar Aficionado and Smoke and things like that I had known. Cigar Journal. And so there was
Yeah.
nothing that was really kind of
Yeah.
edgy, or, for the up and coming cigar smoker that was, had a little bit more of an urban feel, something that was a little bit
Yeah.
rough around the edges. And so it was a great idea. He said he'll
Sure.
take an ad, and a couple of guys I had known in the industry said they'd take an ad. And so that was the beginning, and never really looked back. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you were already, in the industry pretty heavy by the time you started it. That definitely helps. And but it's it's a testament to you that everybody involved was like, yeah, let's go, let's do this, let's represent a different crowd. There's so many. I feel like everybody talks about this on every single podcast I've ever heard in cigars. there's so many different people that smoke cigars, right? It's the CEO to the garbage man and all everything in between. So yeah, that's pretty cool that you gave that representation to, the different cigar crowd, not the guys that want to read Whiskey
Right.
Advocate and Cigar
No, it's great. That's what I
Aficionado
love
and
about
feel
cigar
like
shops and that whole culture. You kind of hang that status on the hook when you walk into the shop and you just hang out and smoke cigars. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So right around that time, if I remember the story correctly, was when you came out with Cigar Press, was when you were introduced to the Cigars for Warriors and
Yeah.
that whole
Was,
thing.
it was a Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival that we were at, and we had talked to John Drew, and he said we have to go out to dinner with these guys that we should meet, and that was Storm. Which, and ever since then, we love the idea of it, supporting the troops. And so we give them an ad in every issue, and then we put pictures of the deployed troops who receive all the cigars and things like that in the magazine. I don't even know how long it's been now. I mean, probably at least a decade.
They had 10 years, I know, in 2020. So that 2012 is when they started. So I guess you were 5 years into your publication when you got that. What was the original, like? I know you've told me that you have kind of a military background in your family, not yourself, but your family. Was that kind of the big play? Was it was that kind of like your mentality going in? Like, wow, like, did you have maybe a family member that had smoked cigars overseas or anything like that?
Nothing like that. We just go back, through the family tree and all the different branches. So for so long, and everybody has served from the Revolutionary War on up, except that kind of ended with me, which I didn't know at the time.
Revolutionary War on up.
That was pretty crazy.
Holy.
So 9/11 happened. I was 21, and so I was
going
to sign up, and then I got talked out of it. So I guess maybe in a way it's my way to kind of give back, in a way, or serve in a way that I couldn't physically before, so.
Well, that's really cool. That's really cool. I mean, ever since I've joined Don, we started our partnership about a year ago now. Ever since I joined Don, it's fascinating hearing the stories of these guys when they're overseas and getting to meet them, and them just talking about, I mean, it was our one escape. It was the only thing. I mean, it's the reason why I joined as well, is I feel like it's just a very small way for me to say and give my contribution, at least to those. I'm not out serving. I'm not sacrificing my life or anything, but I'm at least, doing something for them and showing them that appreciation, and trying to give them some sort of release. Of what
that must be nice. I can't even imagine, but to be able to kick back and relax and not think about things. And I guess that's what cigars are great for, to kind of relieve that stress, not think about the daily problems, and just kind of take your shoes off and give yourself a mental break. Yeah.
I mean, I always joke when it comes to, the cigars, thinking about them smoking cigars over there, because, we over here in the States, we're like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Oh, I really need a cigar. Work's been hard today, and this and that. And, everybody's like, yeah, after a long, hard day. It's like, well, they had a much harder day than we did. So they need them way more than we do. We sitting at a desk all day getting out of the box.
That cigar probably tastes so good to them, too. I can't even imagine.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And it's cool. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Drunk Chicken Cigars. They came out last year, I think. And one of the people in their company was a recipient. And I was talking to him at PCA, and he was just saying that, I mean, that was the first cigar he ever had. And he just kept saying that it felt like he was in somebody's backyard smoking cigars back in the States again. He said it was just a complete escape. Never thought about it, never thought about what was going on that day or anything. He said, we didn't even discuss what was happening. We would all smoke cigars and just talk about our families or football or baseball or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, to me, I'm like, that has to be just priceless.
On a
Absolutely.
side note, my mom said she's on and commented, so I don't know if she could get on.
Let's see. I'll shoot her the invite again. Lisa, we sent the invite. Let's see if it goes through this time.
I always find myself smoking faster too. The more I like a cigar.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah. Lisa,
Good.
how are
Sorry,
you?
my Instagram wasn't working, and you know how that is. Lots of fun.
yeah.
Yep. Yes, it
So
happens.
busy, my ashes going here.
Yeah, no worries at all. No worries at all. I'm glad that we could figure it
better
out
late
and
than
have
never.
you pop on.
Hey, there's Matt. What's going on?
100%.
There's my cousin actually on there right now. He says hello.
There you go.
So what did I miss?
What's up, Matt? So we were just talking a little bit about we were just talking about the Cigars for Warriors and how crazy I guess an opportunity it is that they get to have cigars over there and what some of the stories that I've heard about how it's such an escape for them and the crazy forward deployment that they're in and how it's just a good escape for them in that regard.
Think about all the people that it brings you together, no matter wherever you are. But to think that you're so far away from home and you don't really, you're just out there, and then all of a sudden you find people that enjoy cigars with you, and all of a sudden you have this bond that you may not have had before. Oh, wow, is this
100%.
Is this a JC
Lisa, what
Newman?
are you smoking?
Oh, you got a black diamond.
I know.
That is crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And I didn't even talk
crazy.
to Thor. I wasn't like I knew what he was smoking.
I thought you would have had it, Don Carlos. Yeah.
But look, I didn't even talk to him either, and I'm wearing the hat, and I'm smoking a Julius Caesar. Like, this just became, I'm gonna have to apologize to Storm that this just became a JC Newman podcast and not a Cigar
Well, it's a great company.
podcast.
It's a great company. So that's a good thing. They're really nice people. So
it is absolutely. I've gotten the chance to get to know them very well, and we've done some things together. And I know they support Cigars for Warriors as well.
That's
so
my favorite. That's my favorite cover of our magazine. Is Bobby Newman is involved with the Southeastern Guide Dogs, and I just absolutely love that organization. And if I would never have found it if it wasn't for cigars. So everything comes full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got a chance to talk to him about his work while I was at PCA last year, and he was telling me about the Southeastern Guide Dogs and the veterans that he's helped.
Amazing.
Like, I think he said Chris Kyle's wife, and just some very legendary people in the military world as well. And so it's really cool, and the work they do, and it's just something that. And I guess, Lisa, let me ask you this question. Your relationship with kind of having relatives and things of that nature in the military. What does the Cigars for Warriors cause mean to you?
It's really important to me. Our country wouldn't be what it is without armed forces. And I think people lose that today. They don't realize what we have. And to know are giving their lives for me. So by being able to put the pictures in the magazine and to see them enjoying cigars, it's to me is the best thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys get all those pictures, of the soldiers out there smoking the cigars. It's got to be every time you receive those pictures, it's just got to be such a good feeling knowing that you're contributing, at least a little bit to give back to our country and helping those and letting them know they're appreciated out there when it can feel like, I'm sure it feels like they're just a million miles away from reality and everything involved.
When my
So it's
husband
gotta be
came
awesome
back
to
from
get
the
those
service,
pictures.
he was in the Navy. It was during the Vietnam era. And he took his uniform, shoved it in a locker, and walked away from it because they weren't considered heroes. They were spit on, they were yelled at, and so he just wanted it. He didn't want to walk through the airport with his uniform on. He wanted to get it off so he wouldn't be heckled. And to me, that's just so sad because of what everybody does. And every time I open up the magazine and I look at the pictures, it brings a smile to your face to see everyone enjoying. Men, women, everybody, all different ranks together, smoking. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
100%. And, I haven't even thought about that. And
you think they take their
myself
rank up on the hook when they were smoking cigars out there, or they keep their rank up?
I would say they'd probably hang it up.
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
Think so. That would be a good question.
I mean, I'm sure. We'll have to go study the pictures to see if there's but if I had to guess, it would be just like home, right? Just like we are here, like Thor and I were talking about earlier. Like it's the great equalizer, and in a lot of senses, in cigar shops, you can see, all sorts of, middle class, lower class, upper class, all sorts of people, different races, men, women, everybody, on the same level, talking about life, cigars, sports, fun, whatever, anything going on, and I feel like it is a great equalizer. So, I would like to sit here and assume that, it probably does the same thing over there. It brings everybody together, and it probably does a lot of good for their camaraderie and the teamwork for the lower guys to be able to see the higher ranked guys sit and have a cigar with them too. I would have to guess it happens.
Yeah,
it's going to have to be a question that I ask Storm.
That's the way it is in a cigar shop.
But it's cool to think
when you
about.
walk in, you don't know how to smoke a cigar, what to smoke, whatever. There's going to be someone there that takes you under their arm and says, hey, come on, I'll help you. This is how you cut a cigar. This is how you do it. And I've learned that ask questions. People love to answer questions, which is why I love, cigar shops. You don't get that from a catalog. When you go through and you pick out cigars and you get it home and it's like, well, now what do I do with this? Why am I not enjoying this? What am I supposed to be getting? My big thing is you sit and talk to somebody and they go, oh, I taste a oak tree that was burned down in 1932, and and it's people are overwhelmed and they're like, I don't taste that.
Absolutely.
And
tastes like a cigar.
And to me, I'll take a cigar and I'll smell it, and I'm immediately taken back. When we had horses, I'm immediately taken back to a stable. But if you've never been to a stable, you wouldn't know what I'm smelling.
I know, I always say that in a lot of reviews, like Barnyard and things like that, and people are like, oh, that must be nasty. I'm like, well, think about like certain cheeses, there's certain things that just kind of like are instinctual that you're like drawn to, and so that's like me with like cheese. I think like Latour, oh man, this thing smells like the worst dirty socks and worse, but yet you still want to eat it. So certain like things like that.
Let's think clean barnyard, not a dirty, but that smell.
We're not. J.C. Newman doesn't taste like a barnyard, everybody.
Or, a clean barnyard.
But it is. It takes me right back. And you may smell something or taste something that I've never heard of, so I can't get that from the cigar. Right. People will say, oh, I really taste this or I really taste that. I just taste. I'm not as much like Thor can, he tastes pepper and he tastes that. I don't. I taste things, but it's sort of like a stew. I taste elements, and it all comes together. Yeah, and it's not important. Some people think it's so important. I'm not tasting anything. And it's like, you don't have to. Are you enjoying the cigar right now? And that's, yeah,
it's not about the, at the end of the day, you know, if you spent money, you spent your hard-earned money on a cigar, if you're sitting down or chatting up with buddies or whatever it is,
right,
and you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. That's
like
what cigars are made for.
You're sitting down and you're eating, like I said, a stew. You're enjoying it immensely. Do you care that it's got tomatoes in it? It's got basil in it. Some people do. Some people are picking out that basil. Some people, you know, and they're getting it, and that's their enjoyment. But other people are like, I don't care what's in it. I just love it. And that, to me, is every end of the cigar spectrum. And that scares me when people go, I don't 100%. Know what to taste. Don't worry about it. It'll come to you or it won't come to you. Just enjoy the cigar.
100%. And that leads me to a great question, because Lisa, like we've talked about, we focus on the beginners, right? We focus on the people that are walking into a lounge and they're intimidated, they're scared, and they're just don't want to look stupid. Mostly, you know, they really just want to try it out. So for you, what was your first cigar experience like? You know, I don't know if you remember the exact cigar, but
I do.
The first time you ever had
I don't remember
one.
what the cigar was, but I remember the brand.
She started helping me too, by the way, with the magazine before she ever smoked a cigar. She didn't get it. She thought it was all just whatever. Like,
I thought it was like cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I didn't like cigarettes, but I was helping him out.
Yeah.
And then I went to my first cigar factory, and I was blown away. I was like, look at what these people are doing to get this. To get to this, what goes into it? So we were in the Dominican Republic.
How many people?
And we're at a restaurant. We're sitting there, and Henke from
Davidoff.
Yes, Davidoff. Thank you.
You don't need to.
He comes over.
Everybody knows.
He comes over and starts talking to Thor, and he looks at me, and he takes a cigar out of his pocket, and he hands it to me. And I thought, well, this is a sign. I'm going to try it. So my first cigar was a Davidoff from Henke. So
and you
not many people can say that. And I didn't know who Henke was.
Forget my
you
question.
Didn't even want to
terrible example.
You're probably doing it for me.
And it was like, and the rest is history. But I didn't even know who Henke was. You know, he was just talking to this guy that's talking to Thor, and he's talking to me, and he seemed really nice. And he took a cigar, and I noticed that people do that. If they're enjoying something, they want you to enjoy it. So I just assumed it was this gentleman that was enjoying a cigar. He had a couple Davidoffs in his pocket and handed it to me, and it was like, oh. And then Thor starts laughing, and he goes, not many people can say that, you know, their first cigar came from Henke.
I like to wait until after everything is over to let her in on who that was.
Yeah, and I never have gotten like starry-eyed. When I meet all these people, they're just people to me. And then I learned who they were, but I already knew who they were, so it wasn't like, you know, when you meet like a star who you've been watching their movies forever. I got to know these people before I knew what giants they were in the industry. Like,
right. So for you, that cigar, was that a positive experience? Was it a rough learning curve?
I knew enough to not get sick.
Thankfully, it was
because many times.
Okay, that's good.
It's very mild.
It was a Davidoff, so that helps make it really smooth.
But I've been to factory after factory after factory, and we're smoking cigars, and we haven't even had breakfast. And all of a sudden, you get green, you know, and you know that look. You've been in cigar shops where you see somebody that's green.
Oh, man.
And it's like,
Yeah.
get some sugar.
I have a
Take
story.
some sugar.
I actually have a story. When we first started the magazine, I had a buddy that was helping me out, and he was doing photos. And, you know, we were in Dominican, I don't know, it was like 2007, Gran Almirante, so we were partying all night, you know, getting drunk and just having a good time at the casino. And so we were definitely hungover the next day.
Yeah.
So we went to La Flor Dominicana, right? And so he's doing photos. And so he walked into like one of the aging rooms or something full of ammonia, and he just ran out of there. And he said he just threw up all over the bathroom. And I'm like, that was another one. I'm like, not many people could say they barfed all over the bathroom in the factory floor. So.
But
Yeah.
I tell
Definitely.
people, if
That
if
is
you
a good story.
haven't been to a cigar factory, do it. Try to do it. Because you may think you really appreciate this
100%.
and you understand it, but if you haven't been to a factory to see how much goes into each cigar, it's just amazing. And every time I go to a factory, it's like, oh, I just love being there and love
You
seeing the
appreciate
people.
cigars, and then once you go to a factory, it's like it takes it to another level, you know.
Yeah, I
and
can't
then
put
you
a
really,
cigar down and
Yeah.
leave it, you know, and leave a big, huge cigar
Yeah.
like this down and walk away from it, because I know what went into it. And the labor
Right.
that went into it. It's not a machine, you know, that it
Right.
goes through and it pops it out.
Right.
well,
The
thankfully you're
many
married.
stages.
Thankfully you're married to Dad, because you know he would smoke everything all the time, little cigars left out in the rain. He'd let it dry out, so nothing would go to waste.
He does
No matter
not
how
like
good it
cigars to go to waste.
No.
He hates seeing waste.
That's well, you know, that's awesome though. I mean, I think it's an important tribute to, you know, the people down there, and an appreciation of an industry that hasn't been corrupted or bought out by
Right.
the machines yet, right? It might be the last one. I don't know of one that hasn't become industrialized and just, you know, because you know they could.
But it would be
You know,
different.
You know, they could just
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And each factory
100%.
is different.
100%
Someone
would
will
be
say,
different.
this is the way
Yeah.
we do it, and this is the way it's done. And then you go to the next factory, and they go, this is the way we do it, and this is the way it's done. It's like, yeah, but they were doing it different. And they go, we all have our different ways of doing
Oh yeah,
it.
through every little phase of the process. You know, some people
Totally
ferment their
different.
tobacco up to a certain degree, and then someone else
Yeah.
will take it 5 degrees hotter, or vice versa. Or yeah, so they all have their little tweaks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I was talking to Luciano about a month ago in one of these podcasts, and he mentioned, you know, I was like, wow, well, there's so many people like share tobacco, right? It goes back and forth and back and forth, and you know, all these different things, and he was like, well, that's true, but you're never going to ever get the same flavor, because each process creates a different flavor, and each process will bring out different things in the different or the same leaf that'll create a different experience. So it's really like, technically there's an infinite amount of ways to make a cigar, because there's an infinite amount of possibilities of aging, fermentation, you know, the curing barns, the temperatures, the humidity,
Each phase,
let alone the
something can
soil
go
it was
wrong
grown in, or
and
the
ruin it.
time of the year.
I mean,
And
you
that's not
can
even talking about the
ruin
blending
it.
either,
Right.
you know, because you could blend the cigars, and
And
it's
that's how each
Yeah.
time they can make its taste the same. You know, when you go to get this cigar, you know what it's going to taste like. How the heck do
impossible.
you do that? You know?
It's
I
crazy.
mean, when I
You
make
mentioned
my
Hanky.
stew,
You mentioned Hanky earlier, and he's like a master at that, making a cigar consistent. You know, I mean, a Davidoff I've tasted, you know, 20 years ago or whatever, when I used to smoke Davidoff, like, you know, my first cigars and stuff, you know, when I got treated to them anyway, you know, and then you smoke them today, they're like the same, you know, it's
Yeah.
amazing. He has a whole system of palette and,
phenomenal.
you know, graphs and charts. I think we published
there's,
that.
there's masters and then there's masters.
Right.
You know, it's like calling a chef. Someone just names themselves chef. Just because you say you're a chef doesn't mean you're a chef. But to be a true master blender,
Right.
like Manuel Ainoa at La Aurora, amazing
Yeah.
palette. and
Artist.
such a
It's
yeah.
It's a gift. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. A gift and a skill. It's both. It's just it's fascinating, to be able to have that palate. I've always been fascinated by the people, that the blenders that they'll be able to tell like right away that and they'll have like somebody else's cigar, right? And they'll be able to say, oh, the Seco was not
Right.
at the right temperature. You know,
Right.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
How on earth?
Can't even know.
Did you-
I couldn't
you know,
taste the
or
Seco
like,
in the
ah,
I
they
couldn't taste the
harvested a
Seco
couple
in the
months
blend to
early.
begin with, let alone know it wasn't done properly. Yeah.
It was raining.
Exactly.
It was raining when this
they'll be
was
like,
picked.
ah,
You
must
know,
have been.
it was like.
Yeah. It's like,
But it's
how
like
on earth
wine. It's the
can
same thing
you-
with wine.
It's beautiful.
Wine,
Yeah,
tobacco,
100%.
it's so similar. All the, that they can taste a wine and know that it came from this, vineyard. How? It's just amazing. So when someone's
It's impossible.
beginning, I always say don't be afraid to ask, but don't be sorry, because you'll have people, the experts, the ones that want to make you feel like you're this big and that you don't know anything. You're so, and then you have other people that just bring you, what I hate online, one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone just posts a picture, and they're going, I just celebrated with my dad, and blah, blah, blah. And somebody posts underneath, that cigar's a piece of shit.
Right.
And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Why do you
Right,
think?
there's
I
a lot
don't care.
of
Yeah.
ego in cigars,
100%.
and that's like a phase. I feel like, you got to mature past that phase in cigar smoking to
Yeah.
really appreciate the culture and the cigars themselves. Because it's not about the band or, smoking the highest rated cigars. Because then you're smoking it always with like the band out, making sure everybody sees it. And that's not what it is.
Yeah, it's well, and I think I'm sure that reminds me of, of course I do cigar education. That's my entire brand, right? So there will be people that'll come on my stuff and say, oh well, you lit it, there was a little bit of too much heat involved, or there will be this little thing or that, and at the end of the day, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions and a lot of different ways to smoke a cigar. But at the and it's like, a lot of what I get from some people that are like that is, oh, you didn't light, like you lit it and then you puffed on it while lighting, and that oh, it ruined like the middle of the cigar because you let the smoke. I'm
Take
like,
a breath.
okay,
Take a breath.
there is, it's okay. It's, it's hard because I'm like, smoke a cigar the way you want to.
Yeah.
If you want to smoke it that way, that's fine. Go ahead and wear the white gloves and do it all. But don't tell me not to.
Or even
or
cutting
don't tell me
a cigar.
I'm doing it incorrectly
Even cutting
or
a
educated.
cigar. I don't cut my cigars.
Right. It can get so.
Yeah.
Really?
I never usually do either.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's
take off the cap.
Yeah,
You
like
just
kinda,
a little. You take
I usually do it with
you
my
take
tooth,
it,
like
and then
scrape
you
it off.
The cap.
twist. So the cap is still on. It's almost like you're making your own punch. So you just take this little, and that's the way I always do it. Now, there are some cigars that you can't do that to, but for the most part, I don't do it. I was taught that by someone in the Fuente factory. I said he handed me a cigar,
Really?
Sammy Mendez. He handed me a cigar, and I said, do you have a cutter? He goes to me. He goes, here. And there it was. And it was like, who needs cutters? You do.
That's crazy.
Really?
I've actually never heard of that. That's crazy.
It's so easy.
I mean, I've heard of people, taking their thumb pushing
and
the
you want
cap
to keep
off.
it intact so your cigar doesn't come apart. So you just take, and the way he taught me, it was like bam, and he talk about lighting cigars. He lit his cigar all the wrong ways.
Oh man, yeah, it was like he could smoke whatever he wanted in the factory, so he'd have this opus.
And we're talking Fuente here. We're talking Fuente.
And he'd put it up, he'd light that thing
Right.
with a torch, and it'd be like 2 inches of it would just be black, you know, like from him torching. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, I don't want to question you because this is what you kind of do here, you know, on everything. But
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't even know what he would say.
was
Like,
like-
it would just toast it and get the ammonia out of the foot of the
Yeah.
cigar that had built up over aging, I think. Oh, it's crazy.
Really, that's
You
yeah.
talk to
I mean,
10
it's
people, and they'll have
it's
10
so
different
funny
ways.
that things you become cocky about, and yeah, and you think you know, and it's just at the end of the day, and that's what I try and preach to all the beginners is just enjoy your cigar. Go enjoy it. Yes, there's, you know, you don't want to take a straight
Right.
cut and go ahead and chop off, you know, an inch of the cigar. Like there
Well, it
is
makes it
certain
miserable.
aspects of things
if you
want
cut
to do
too
correctly.
far down, your cigar starts unraveling, and you have a mess.
Or a lot
Yeah,
of people will
it's-
cut a
it's-
cigar in
yeah,
half. They'll buy,
absolutely.
like, you
So
know,
that,
a double
you know-
Corona or something really long. They'll cut it in half.
And share.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's, you
Or
know,
smoke
and the
twice,
cigar is
yeah.
made to have a certain blend. Like the leaves are laid in there a certain way, so that first half isn't going to be the same as the second half.
100%.
So I'm like, you're kind of, you know, you're not really experiencing that cigar as it should be experienced. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, you do you. But it's all good.
Yeah. There is somewhat of something that you should follow, but it's at the end of the day, it's your cigar, and you can enjoy it. But I'm sure you guys have gotten the same thing, you know, being a media publication, you know, and people saying, you did this whole article on blah, 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 and it was, you know, this is incorrect information or something, you know, and it's like,
Right.
just
Yeah.
come on now. Like,
Yeah, there's always
just relax.
somebody that knows everything and isn't
Yeah.
willing to listen to other ideas. Wait,
Yeah.
you know, yeah,
Have their own, they're
and that's
stuck in their
fine.
own
They
ways.
they do them, and you can do you. But my thing is, if you go into a shop, and I recommend beginners go into a shop and not be intimidated.
Oh, they love
In
to
the
help.
beginning-
They definitely love to help people, you know, and ask questions.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you
100%.
say, I liked this cigar. Can you recommend?
Yeah.
Because you walk into that humidor, and it's like, I don't know what I want. And people think, oh, it's
Overwhelming.
got a dark
Absolutely.
wrapper, so that means it's a really strong cigar. No, it doesn't. So, right, you don't know. It's like looking at a bottle of whiskey. You really don't know what that's going to taste like until you taste it.
And I would also,
So,
I would suggest that too for
100%.
beginners. You know, smoke a lot of different cigars. Buy like the bundled stuff. Buy some higher end stuff. Like smoke all the different brands and countries because you're not really going to know for yourself unless you experience the different levels, the different construction, the different types of cigars that are out there to really appreciate, you know, what
Amen.
you like. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, the people that I've seen that are the deepest into the cigar industry, you know, besides manufacturers that mostly smoke their own stuff, maybe. I mean, I like personally, I don't think I smoke the same cigar twice in a week, unless I'm like on really like a hot kick. Like I love the complexity, the roller coaster, the differences in each cigar, and it's just you can't. Anybody that, you know, is in it knows you haven't smoked them all, and you probably haven't smoked your favorite one yet. Like the one that's perfect. Like it's always, I'm very good friends with Rick Rodriguez, and he always is like, your best cigar is still out there. It's
if you keep with the same one, you're never going to develop your palate.
No, it's funny that-
And if you don't want to, that's fine.
that's it.
Smoke the same cigar. There is no right or wrong.
You know,
Right. That's a great point too. Is if you do like it and you want to stick to it, and you don't want to, you know, go down the rabbit holes.
And you
great.
do
never
have
actually-
some.
It's a
You
good
do
point,
have
Lisa.
some that you fall back on because you know it's
Yeah.
going to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
good smoke.
I'll never like.
Yeah.
When I like,
JC
you know,
Newman.
because when I will like pack cigars out, if we're going out for the weekend or whatever, I never grab like 4, 5, 6 of the same cigar. I always grab different cigars, and I'll grab cigars. I'm like, okay, I know if I have the time or something, I'll smoke this or this. But I always grab like because I never know the time of day or what I'll be in the mood for, or you know. So, yeah.
100%. Yeah, I'm the same way. So I had a question for you guys because I've been 2 years now into the cigar media world. You know, mine's heavily on social media and yours is press, but I feel that it's probably similar. have you guys experienced with Cigar Press any resistance as far as trying to not advertise in the sense that, I mean, obviously, I don't think you could go ahead and like put ads out there for the magazine, could you? Or but have you experienced any kind of, with the FDA regulations and everything going on with, the struggle, like on social media for one? I mean, it's a fist fight to not get banned on any certain platform. Have you guys experienced that with the magazine?
Do you want to answer that?
I mean, not so much like you're saying online and things like that is pretty tough, but definitely not printing and being able to distribute to cigar shops and things like that. But
because our magazine goes to cigar shops.
Right.
That's where they go.
Yeah, that's true.
And then people can subscribe.
Facebook will always ask us to advertise, but then we try and they won't let us. So, it's just one of those things. So we just, you got to go to a lot of events and things around the country and just represent yourself, basically. That's about it.
Yeah, do it that way. But you haven't. Yeah, well, it's good. It's good to know that, from the freedom of the press is still out there.
For now,
that's good. That's positive.
Which is wrong, but
there's so many things out there that should be squashed.
It's the wrong angle,
that are out there, but cigars. I mean, you're not getting kids. Ooh, let's go to the tobacco shop and let's smoke cigars and let's.
Yeah.
I'm not going to influence the child to smoke a cigar, and I don't know of anybody that does. It's just like alcohol. Yeah. I'm not going to try to influence a child, but then again, I don't make popcorn vodka and candy cane vodka. That to me is a little appealing, as a kid. Ooh, candy cane. You take one taste of it and you spit it out.
Right, as a younger kid, you want to find stuff that'll taste good to you.
Right.
When it comes to starting to want to drink, you're like, oh, what'll taste the least worst, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, when you're starting out drinking, you find the.
I've never seen a kid in a cigar shop.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Not once.
The whatever.
And that's what they're saying.
No.
And they'll smoke it wrong. They'll smoke it like a cigarette. They'll get sick as can be, and that's it. Yes.
Yeah, maybe we should
never do it again.
Kids in a cigar shop.
They'll stop. Yeah. They won't. They'll wait for sure. No, 100%. It's that old adage of, if you want your kid not to smoke, give them a pack of cigarettes, right? They'll never smoke a day in their life. But no, I mean, it's cool. Like even with my, with my platform, we're very big on. We got our name off of TikTok, right? That's where we grew originally. Right now, our biggest base is YouTube, but it was TikTok originally, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I reviewed one cigar and it hit 10,000 views, and I was just like, okay. I called my wife and I was like, I'm picking up 20 cigars on the way home, and I think I got some. So I mean, and within 3 months, I had 50,000.
You have a nice presence. You really do.
I appreciate that.
Because there's a lot of people out there that don't engage, and you engage and you don't make people feel stupid and you don't talk down to people. So I really think your presence is really nice and it's refreshing. You don't come across as an expert, know-it-all kind of person. You're just, you seem like a really nice person that just wants to share.
And that's why I almost felt an obligation from, especially once I had one video that randomly hit 1 million views in my first 2 months of doing this, and at that point I kind of sat down and was like, okay, now I feel like I have a responsibility to because everybody, I mean, TikTok's such a new platform, and it's younger people in general that are on there, not really anymore, but it was 2 years ago, and I felt kind of an obligation to show everybody that cigars aren't suits and la-ti-da and this whole thing. They can be if you want to, and that's fine. And I've done that too. But there's also, I feel like the majority of cigar smokers are in their
Yeah,
pajamas on the back
absolutely,
porch.
Yeah.
You know, that's
You're
what
not
I
on your
always say,
yacht.
is like,
You're
it's
not
a
on your
dude in the
yacht.
shorts.
Oh, yeah. It's not the perceived
Yeah,
image. That's for
exactly,
sure.
exactly.
And that's why we do like the
So,
we
you know,
do the
I felt an
99%.
obligation to,
We did one issue that's the 99%, and it talks about, we talked to different people. We had a garbage man, a postman, a train person. We had all different people that of all walks of life, because that's who smokes cigars. It isn't the rich man sitting on
100%.
a boat. They're there, but there's the everyday smoker
Yeah.
too, the everyday person that enjoys cigars too. It's not, it is, I mean, obviously cigars are not cheap, but it's not necessarily a rich man's game.
It doesn't have to be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't have to be, and I think it's important for the next generation to see that representation of, you know, and just enjoy yourself. You can smoke cigars with people in high class occasions and non high class occasions, and it's very important to me. So that's, yeah, I felt that kind of obligation to, with all the new cigar smokers that were asking questions on. I mean, you'd be shocked about how often I get the question of which
Yeah,
side of the
and
cigar do I smoke from, and that's, I love that I can be the person that goes,
yeah,
oh, great question, you know, like, and give them that, you know, outlet. I always tell, like, all my followers, I'm like, if you're scared and intimidated, ask me the question. And that's why, you know, I do this podcast every single Tuesday, but before I did it today, before I go live, I do 30 minutes live on TikTok and YouTube, which is our two biggest platforms, and where I think kind of the newer cigar smokers are mostly following me, and I'll
yeah.
just sit there and answer questions for 30 minutes, and then I'll join,
Yeah, that's
and I'll
brilliant.
start this, and I'll tell them, I'll be like, if you really want to ask, you know, some experts the questions, you know, I'll have, again, like Rick Rodriguez, Luciano, or anybody like you guys, like I'm like, go ahead, ask it, find out for yourself that everybody in the industry that's worth anything is so ask. It's, yeah. That's just my biggest thing.
And as a woman, it can also be intimidating walking into a cigar shop and to ask questions.
100%.
But I used to go in and buy cigars for Thor way back, and they would welcome me in and ask questions, you know, whatever. There's no stupid question, you know. There really isn't. When you're starting out, I mean, it's like buying a bottle of wine. If you don't know how to get that cork out, you know, you're not going to be able to drink it.
Yeah.
You know, and in the first time you learn from watching
Very
others.
true. It's a good point.
Otherwise, you'd look at it and go, how the heck do I get this thing out of here? You learn, and that's the way it is with cigars. Just ask questions, and
Everybody
people,
started somewhere.
no matter how old they are making cigars, and they love teaching. They love giving you their expertise and telling you what they've learned, and they have some great stories.
And sharing their passion, you know, for something that's helped them through hard times, helped them celebrate great times, and all.
It is, yeah.
You know, it's very, 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 yeah. It's been very important to me ever since I felt like I actually had an audience to speak to, and it's so enjoyable to me doing that. I mean, it might be my favorite 30-minute segment of my week, being able to go there, because so many people will be like, man, that's a huge cigarette, and then by the end of it, somebody's on right now, or they were on earlier on this live, that on my little 30-minute, I call it the pre-live, they were asking, oh, isn't that just like a huge cigarette? And I was like, no, and I kind of just went and softly explained like a little bit of the differences, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I was like, "Yeah, if you're curious about more, like, you know, there's cigar magazines, and there's, you know, you don't see cigarette
Right.
magazines anymore.
Were there ever? I don't know.
Like, you know, I'm like, there's a whole culture behind this. You know, we'd love to have you on." And I saw him pop on right when I started this. So it's you know, it's a really good feeling to know that, you know, in whatever aspect I can help bring cigars to the next generation. You know, it's really cool. A dream of mine is to sit at a cigar shop where nobody knows me, and there's, you know, a couple people sitting there, and I just hear them talking, and they're like, "How'd you get into cigars?" And they go, "Oh, Dreamer Cigars," and then, "Oh, me too." Like, that would be so cool. That would just be so cool for me to just hear. I wouldn't even say anything. I wouldn't even say anything. I would just be like, now they'd probably, because every single video has my face in it, maybe they would recognize me, but it would just be really cool to be able to, you know, have a little influence in the reason
Enrique,
why cigars lived on.
Are you on there? I see Matilda Cigars just joined. If that's Enrique, hello, I miss you.
So we are nearing the
cigar, by the
end
way, Matilda Cigars, fabulous cigar.
I'm trying to remember. I think I've had one, but I can't remember specifically.
Enrique's father, I went to my first factory, and he led the tour. He's such a soft-spoken man, and I found myself inching up, getting closer, because his passion was so intense and so amazing. It was the best experience I ever had. It changed my life, learning about cigars and everything, and he was the man. So yeah, if you haven't tried Matilda Cigars, you really should, because the knowledge that's there and the beauty of their cigars, it's really.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Whoever it is for Matilda, I'm gonna reach out to you after
Enrique
the live.
Sejas,
I would love to help
he's
you.
the nicest, sweetest man you'd ever want to meet, but don't tell him I said that. It'll go to his head. It'll go to his head.
Unless it's him listening. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I won't. But yeah, it's one of my favorite things too. Is, you know, working with brands and you know, I feel like with COVID, there's been just this huge surge of new boutique brands and everything. But it's fun that I want to work with as many brands as possible, because I want to help them. Like, for somebody, I may do a how to cut a cigar video, something super easy. But somebody who sees me do that, whatever cigar I'm using, they're probably going to go try and find that and then try and learn how to cut. That's like, they're, you know, like, and I tell everybody, like, see, you can do it all the same, you know. I'm like, but, you know, it's cool. I want to make sure that I represent as many people as possible.
Smaller companies.
Just
you know,
so
a lot
everybody
of people,
knows.
they know Davidoff, they know La Aurora, but there are so many companies out there that are so good.
Yeah. That make great
Luis
cigars.
Falto, his cigars, amazing. You know, Matilda Cigars, it's endless. You could just go on and on and on of all the great cigars that are out there. And so if you box yourself to one brand, you're missing it. You're really missing it. Yeah.
Huge.
And that's what I tell people. Just try.
I completely agree.
Just keep trying cigars. Just keep trying them.
And you'll eventually go back to the ones that you like, and you'll gravitate
and
back.
the one that you liked last year, you may not have liked it, but you try it again this year.
Yeah.
It may be the right time. You may have had it in the morning, and it was too strong for you. But now you're winding down at the end of the day, and you try it, and it's like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So retry cigars. If you didn't like it before, you know, wait a few months. Try it at a different time. Try it with a different beverage. But just enjoy. That's all you. Don't buy a cigar if you're not enjoying yourself. Get out of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you would, but yes.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, I never. I don't think. Like, for me personally, I don't judge a cigar until I've had three.
Hard. Yeah.
You could have a bad draw.
you know,
You could have a bad draw
if you
in a
have
cigar.
one,
And,
I mean,
but that's not
well,
not all of them.
you know,
They're handmade.
right,
They're handmade.
exactly,
And you have to realize that. It's handmade,
that's where I was going.
and you might get a bad one.
It's farming, it's handmade. I mean, there's so many variables involved. Humans are not perfect, and they're never meant to be perfect. So if you expect your cigar to be perfect, then you're crazy. And it was Oscar Rodriguez of GTO Cigars, another smaller company, but fantastic cigars. He was like, somebody will come up to me and be like, your cigars are terrible. I had this one, the draw was horrible. And he's like, do you know how many people touch that cigar? Do you know how, he was like, I don't sit here and look at your work and say it has to be exactly perfect.
Oh, there's so many variables
at your job, right? I don't sit here and say, you've never made a mistake at your job. Oh, wait, you're human. You have. So do these people. So do I. So does everybody. So you just can't judge a cigar off of one single taste. It's such a big belief of mine. I feel like 3, you can get the general gist.
Yeah,
overall,
it depends too on the time of day, or like outside if it's winter, it's cold, freezing. If it's thunderstorm outside. I mean, the humidity. I mean the environment that you're smoking the cigar in is going to impact it a ton. So.
Right. I think we lost Lisa, but we are out of time anyway, so it's okay. But I appreciate you coming on today. My last question is, and I think you answered a little bit, it's our dream seat question. And we got our dream seat chair right here. I don't know if you've ever sat in a dream seat chair, but they're fantastic. And we got the CFW logo, nice and represented there. But where do you see yourself and Cigar Press in the future?
We're still going to do our own thing, always. Kind of represent our own unique spin on the industry and the way we see things. But we're definitely going to hopefully have a lot more online presence, just the way things are going, with our website. And we got a lot of cool things going on, so I definitely want to push that. So it's inevitable, you can't hold on to these antiquated things too long, but we'll always print for sure. We're looking forward to doing new things. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate your time today, Thor.
Great.
It was a fantastic conversation, man, and appreciate everything you guys do for CFW. You guys have been potentially the longest supporter of anybody of Cigars for Warriors, but it's just so great the work you guys do, man, and I'm looking forward to what you guys got.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks for reaching out and having us on your show.
Absolutely.
All right,
man.
take it easy.
I appreciate it. Until next time. Thanks everybody for